Welcome to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. Jimmy is a veteran U.S. Navy SEAL, a former protective officer for the CIA Global Response Staff, founder and CEO of the Able Shepherd Program, a husband and father of 4, and a personal friend of mine. Now here's Jimmy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Protector Culture Podcast with Jimmy Graham. I'm your host, Jimmy Graham. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Able Nation. That's able-nation.org. If you are a security professional in charge of your church or school or business and you don't have the budget for funds to protect those in your care, then please contact Neil at able-nation.org. Able Nation can help you out. All right, we're calling this episode Rittenhouse. Joined today by Skip Miller, Able Shepherd 004.
Thank you for having me.
And as usual, we got BK in the house 051. How you doing, brother? Do you have a mic? We need to get you a mic back there, man. He's listening to us, but I don't know if he's going to come up on comms. So I asked Skip to come in and kind of bring us up to speed on the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, how that ended, kind of walk us through what that looked like, because it blows my mind how this thing is getting pulled. People focusing on the pieces that they like, that fit their agenda. Absolutely. Man, they're just bypassing the truth. So if we can take a stab at it.
Yeah. So, as most people understand, Kyle Rittenhouse was involved in a riot situation in Kenosha 2 or 3 days at the second or third day, and had to defend his life against 3 different people that, and unfortunately, killed 2 of them. The third was wounded, but yeah, he was fleeing a scene, kind of got separated from his group, and was by himself, and was attacked by multiple people.
You say his group, so 17-year-old kid, right?
17-year-old
that didn't live there. He came in from somewhere else.
Kind of. So he didn't live there. That is absolutely true, and that's what everyone. This kind of to your point. In terms of focusing on the stuff that furthers the person's agenda.
Right.
Yes, he did not live there. But he had a lot of family and friends, and he actually worked in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it wasn't like he just was a random dude that kind of just showed up. He had ties to that community, and he had showed up to help defend some property and some people, and 17 years old at the time, 18 now. And and so he was with a group that was kind of defending some different businesses, and then I don't really understand how he got separated, but he was a solo person, slung AR, trying to kind of break contact with a whole bunch of people, and in the process was attacked and had to defend himself. And then. So he had to engage 3 different people in 3 very separate instances. Well, 2 of them were kind of at the same time, but the first one. But the great thing was, Wisconsin has an even better or a more robust set of laws around self-defense than even Colorado does. And when you really looked at. They had video footage of it all.
Of all of them.
Of all of it. Which it was a little odd. I think that we can just all assume that if something, even regardless of whether the police or federal agencies are actually doing anything in the riot situation to suppress the riot, to protect people, whether they're doing anything or not, we all got to make the assumption that absolutely that there are helicopters up in the air or drones or whatever they were using, and there's going to be video footage.
Yeah.
And so they had really good video footage of the whole thing, and our definition of self-defense is what would happen if I didn't pull the trigger, right? So the first one was the person was unarmed, but was advancing on him with a gun in his hand, and it's kind of cut and dried. If the guy takes my gun and I'm about to die, well, that's
So I'm sorry. On the first one, the guy he was unarmed and then drew a gun, or had the gun out?
He was unarmed.
Okay, he was unarmed.
He was completely unarmed. He did not have a firearm.
Right.
Kyle had a firearm.
Right.
And he was physically attacking him.
Yeah.
Or was getting close enough to physically attack him, and that was the first one.
So yeah, and that's a couple of good, really good points I want to bring up that we should talk about. Yes, sure. Yeah, he was from out of town. He wasn't from there. Because there's been people on the other side that are literally bust in to start problems. They're bust in to aggravate and agitate and do all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. So definitely not that scenario, but he didn't live there. But so he's there. I've talked to people and they're like, I can't believe this guy. You're a 17-year-old kid, maybe without a purpose, maybe with just want to make a difference. You see the way this nation's going. Because I've said this and stopped guys cold in the tracks. I say, well, I don't agree with the kind of the ambulance chaser mentality, the people that want to run and get involved in things like that. Mm-hmm. However, this is a different thing. And now you've got people that I say, well, he did more than you did. You showed up somewhere because you've done nothing except for, bitch at the TV. Right. So you got a young man that, I think that some things could have been rethought or whatever, but he gets down there and and the way he got the firearm and all that kind of stuff, don't agree with that because he got it from somebody else. Right. As I understand it. So there maybe rethought there, but it's not like he was setting up to hurt people. Like you said, the way we look at this to make it very fast to digest in your own mind, even to think about it beforehand, what would happen if I didn't pull a trigger? As I look at those, all of those equal, he would be dead right now.
Oh yeah.
You see him getting chased down the street. You see, and we say that too. I've got a gun. If there's a gun, so let's just flip it. Cause I always love doing that. Is this okay? Yeah. When it's me, but what if I'm the other guy? I can't really visualize that deal where this guy has a firearm. He's not aggressive. He's not, threatening my kids, not anything like that. But I'm not going to chase him down the street and hit him. And I'm not going to try to tackle him. And I'm not going to try to check his gun. Now, if I did do that, I would be expecting to be shot.
Correct. Yeah. Like
what happened here? How does that even, we can't, how much do we have to twist it to say like, guy with a gun in the street, it's chaos. Probably shouldn't be tackling that guy. Probably shouldn't be hitting him with a firearm. Probably shouldn't draw a gun on him. If you do, probably gonna get shot.
Yeah.
Like common sense would dictate, I believe.
Yeah. And it's the biggest thing I saw and I didn't see a lot of the drone footage, but I saw a lot of, at the time, even there was a ton of video about the whole thing, a lot of pictures. And the whole time, he was trying to break contact. Right. He was trying to get away.
Yeah.
There was no, there was really wasn't aggressive actions on his part until he was forced to.
Yeah.
Until the situation was that I'm about to lose my gun.
Yeah.
I'm potentially about to lose my gun, and that's not going to end well for me.
Yeah. And that's the other point is if you have a firearm on your hip, it's slung, it's in your person, it's on your possession. It is your duty to defend it. So we say, well, he doesn't have a gun. Well, he's gonna when he takes yours. So if that happens, say he did nothing, he didn't pull the trigger, and then someone else, like some of these people that we're hearing about, not good guys, right?
Right.
Now he's got an AR-15 and he's running around with I'm gonna help people intentions. That's your fault. Mm-hmm. So there's not like that would have been a win, if you hadn't have fired. Like there's no option at this point. Regardless of how we got here, you don't give up forfeit your right to defend your life.
Correct.
In doing that.
Yep.
So it's like now all of a sudden it's like, well, obviously, they tried to make it look like you're the aggressor. It's like I was running away.
Correct.
They were pursuing me. Mm-hmm. Aggressors don't do. I ran to the police. Please help me.
Right. He was. Yes.
Aggressor. Yeah. Murderous aggressors don't do that. They run from the police.
Right.
Not, hey, this was horrible. This happened. Please help me. This guy hurt. Whatever. Yeah. It just doesn't fit. None of it fits.
No. And I think one of the prosecutor really had to make the case that because he simply had a firearm.
Yeah.
And had chosen to be in that location.
Sure.
That he had then given up his right to self-defense.
Yeah.
And that's not a realistic, that's not a realistic position.
It's such a dangerous position.
It's
So you're at a bar when the streetlights are on, you deserve to get hit with a beer bottle. You were a skirt young lady, you deserve to get raped. Like who dresses like that? This is kind of your fault, actually.
Yeah,
like,
and none of those are okay. No. And so it was really what I believe what the prosecutor was trying to do. He obviously failed miserably at it, but it also was just a really hard position to take. Mm-hmm. It was the only position he could take because it was, if you watch the video, it's obviously self-defense. And so the only thing he could do is try to say, well, he wasn't justified to have self-defense because he was there with a gun. And that's not okay. It's an incredibly dangerous position an incredibly dangerous road to go down. And so it was very it was very, very heartening for that verdict, for kind of like the rule of law.
Yeah.
It's not exactly what we have in Colorado, but the rule of law in Wisconsin says he has the right to defend himself. And he did so. And unfortunately, 2 people died. But that's not on Kyle. That's on the people attacking him.
Right. And that's, people, I've heard people say, what if he'd been black? It's like, okay, that guy too has a right to defend his life, right? So if you were black, and the exact verbatim, everything, you just change the color of people's skin, that's exactly what it should have happened.
Absolutely.
So I think that people were yelling, the interesting point, that we are evolving with technology and our society and all that. So everybody's at a riot. So they've all got their phones out. So there's going to be video of everything.
Yes.
There's drones, like you mentioned. There's helicopters, all this stuff. There's going to be footage. And I believe, I think that's what saved him. Like, if there wasn't video of this, he would be in prison for the rest of his life.
Because a good chance.
Because videos capture the truth.
Yep.
Videos don't make stuff up unless they're altered, right? But and obviously the resolution thing, that's a whole other deal. But this is what happened, because I have a video of it. This is the truth of what happened. Right here, look at it, right? And now that saved him.
Yeah.
Right? And so, wow, that guy's, you're running away and he's chasing you, because it's he said, she said. There's a bunch of people after the fact that were there to do whatever. You can make them say whatever you want, right? These malicious, evil people, whatever. Then you can make them say whatever you want. But the videos don't lie. We say, one eye don't lie, because we'd call it the one eye when we'd video that. And people don't remember either. Like we had people take a knee while they're defending someone. And I say, brother, don't take a knee. I don't take a knee. You did it every single time. No, I didn't. I push play. Oh, I had no idea that was going on, because their mind was going.
Yeah.
So you don't even remember. So to reference that.
Yeah, it's interesting. People are, so the surveillance systems they're using right now, aren't specific to a person.
Yeah.
So there's no right to privacy.
Yeah.
So it's just the general area. And that video is captured forever.
Yeah.
So if they're want to look at something that happened 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, 2 years ago, if they had a drone in the sky or on a helicopter, they can access that.
Yeah.
So do the right thing, right? Like in those situations, do the right thing, because is surveillance really creepy? Absolutely. But like in this case, I agree that having the actual video of what occurred absolutely saved his bacon.
Right. Now they can start trample over the Constitution and say, well, that goes to show you. They should have cameras everywhere watching you all the time. But it just means, reinforces, like we aspire to do it right? We tell people what would happen if you didn't pull the trigger. I saw it even said in something I read. He said, why did you shoot him multiple times? He's like, well, I shot him until he wasn't a threat. We call that threat stop. If somebody's threatening your life, you shoot until threat stop. You don't shoot him once and then he tackles you and kills you with a bullet in him. You shoot him until that threat stops, once you identify that threat. So, whether it's police brutality, whether it's just some murderous guy on the street, whatever, there is this emphasis. You do it right. And I tell people, we just talked to people last night. I'm like, hey, our objective is to have good guys walking around the street protecting my kids, not in jail. So we do want to make sure that this is done correctly, but then also we're in a strange place where laws are changing. I just met with one of the sheriff's candidates. You might be in a position to have to arrest me because I did something correct as per the Constitution. It's a whole different game now. It's a scary game.
It is.
But there was a victory, I think, for justice in this case, because again, if you changed the players and made them different colors and all that kind of stuff, the story remains the same. If you're going to, a white guy grabs a skateboard and goes beating a black man with an AR-15 and ends up that way, you're like, that A leads to B leads to C.
Yeah, absolutely.
What did you think was going to happen? Right. So there's that. And, the beat him, hey, shoot him, get him. Masses of people running after him down the street. And I do think that, honestly, I think that this is a young baby-faced kid, good heart. I think this was his first glimpse at evil. And he grabbed the tiger by the tail and it looked back at him and he freaked out. And now you're running down the street with an AR-15. And then the prosecution at one point, one thing I read, tried to make it about, but you had a gun. How did you feel threatened? You had a gun. If you're like, explain that. Well, you've got a gun, so you can just shoot a dude. No, that's exactly what happened. If someone attacks you, you could defend your life. that would be the rest of that conversation.
Correct.
It's just a horrible.
It's just kind of everything's getting twisted.
Yeah, like right. So that's what happened. They did attack me, and I tried not to shoot them. That's why I could stay there and mow everybody down.
Right.
But I tried to get out of there.
Yeah.
Right. Which is what they say. Some states say to do that you must try to retreat, which is ridiculous. But because why? Because you could fall down. And then if he would have fell over and he'd have gotten the gun away from him, that would have been a horrible choice, horrible tactic to try to run away, right? So anyways, he did. It looks like he did everything he could to not have to shoot someone, and then he had to shoot 3 times.
Yep.
So now, where is it now? Because I believe, and I don't know if you followed this part, meaning that I saw that due to some kind of, so there was a mistrial that was, they called for mistrial several times, but now on the other end of it, we'd mentioned that the drone, I think about 9,000 feet, 8,000 feet, something like that, captured this video, and it was very high resolution for the prosecutor, but then was transferred to the defense at a lower resolution. So there's many cases of injustice here, even him being in jail for 20 something days without the opportunity to shower and no running water and all this kind of stuff. Do you know anything about that? Is it because he's Kyle Rittenhouse and it was a bias in this, or they're going to have to obviously prove that? But how do you go? How do you spend time in jail and not be able to shower and not be able to just human conditions, really?
Yeah, I mean,
I may or may not have been in jail. I'll throw that out there. And then, if I had been, there were showers.
There were showers. Yeah. So some of the stuff around his confinement right as soon as he was arrested. Was definitely, there was a lot of things that I would hope that people wouldn't, anyone in the United States wouldn't have to deal with that kind of stuff. I didn't know about the no running water thing. That's
for several days.
I
think I read this was a couple of days ago about his skin cracking and all this other stuff. Just saying that, man, they're just absolutely mistreated.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah,
and during the trial. The resolution thing, I believe that if the prosecution had a very high res version of the video, and they gave the defense a lower resolution,
less than half, right? Yeah.
So, if that was intentional, that needs to be investigated, and that needs to be, if it was intentional, that I think it really fits the bill for prosecutorial, how do you say that? Prosecutorial, yes. Misconduct. Like that's bad. That's not how the justice system is supposed to work.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think that as the trial went on, they realized the prosecution realized that they were not doing well. Their own witnesses were hurting them.
Oh yeah,
in major ways because they were telling the truth.
Right.
They didn't mean to.
Stupid truth.
They were just telling the truth, right?
Man, that truth. Stupid video and truth.
Yeah, right. Video and truth. And so yeah, like there was a whole lot of odd things that occurred that I hope will get looked at, by the judge and looked at, by other investigators, independent investigators, but just. Thank goodness that in this case, the truth won out and the system worked to not have and really come up with the people that are in that situation really do have the right to save their life. That's what it comes down to.
Well, I think a lot of people have been ranting and really verbally attacking the judge as well, because the verdict didn't say the thing they wanted. The truth didn't say the thing that they wanted to say, so they wanted to change it. And they're name calling, and it's racism, and is murderer, and people will be hunted for just. They're painting this. It was a peaceful protest.
Yeah.
And then here comes a murderer, and I think it was Eric. It was talking about yesterday or a couple days ago. If you go overseas and ask people what happened, they truly think it was an active shooter named Kyle Rittenhouse. Like that's what happened.
Oh,
and it's like the media, because they only get certain channels of media over there, right? So now all of a sudden, people are saying these statements that are absolutely false. And if that's all you saw, because we're a soundbite nation, you see sound bites, you're going to start getting this picture painted. Had it not been for those stupid facts, it's like, dang it,
Right.
Again, if that's applied to me, would I have a right to defend my life? And if the answer is yes, then there it is. You know, it's like that's I think the judge, they were saying he was in it from the get-go, you know, and he was very slight. I think from what I've seen, the judge was being a judge. Yeah. He had it with the media. He'd had it with all this. Like, you're an attorney and you're going to sit here and do this, like tightening people up.
Right.
That stupid accountability, you know, that whole thing, that came out, and people, that's not in fashion anymore.
Right.
So that's a dangerous ground that we're walking down, and I'm glad that it came out that way, and then hoping that that there is justice served, that there was that blatant to try to get to your, not the truth, but your version of the truth, or make it say that, then there should be repercussions.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. BK, what do you got to add? He's like, I got a microphone, brother. I'm not going to say anything. So appreciate that. Let us know your thoughts. I thought this was a timely story. Obviously, everybody's chiming in about it, but man, I've heard some ridiculous stuff. So this isn't over yet. They're going to keep the attacks.
Sure.
Whatever Kyle Rittenhouse is going to go and pursue as far as lawsuits for injustice and all that. And man, I've known too many men, and like I said, I've been in a situation where you're like, man, I might get in trouble. You say nothing when it's all on the line, right? Because you're like, you feel like a second-class citizen, and you don't want to rock the boat either way, so you're just whatever. 20 days without a shower, whatever. Okay, skin's falling off, I'm doing this, and ashing up, whatever. You're not going to say anything, but there are supposed to be people in place that speak for those people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That step in and say, hey, this is inhumane. And whatever's going on in this trial, because I know he's not going to say it, I'm going to say it for him. Right? And why that person didn't show up, or why those services weren't rendered for somebody that's awaiting a trial that could be guilty or innocent, now is found guilty, it's inexcusable. So we should pursue justice in that regard. Okay. All right, brother. Well, thank you very much for coming in and filling us in on that. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Please, like I said, your feedback, hit us up. AbleShepherd.com is the training. ProtectorCulture.com is where you're going to find the podcast, both video and audio. Special thanks to able-nation.org for their sponsorship. And check out resources. We were just talking about this the other night. Those resources that if you are looking to better prepare your family and your friends and your organizations, then look at standinthegapinitiative.com. Click on readiness. There's so much information in that website. Go in there and click around on that. But if you're looking for the resources in the form of video or print, go to readiness, click down. There's drop-down menus and shared folders, and a lot of good resources that Skip was actually a part of, and Don Jones and Brad and all these guys. Yep.
So a lot of good information there.
Yeah. So we'll catch you on the next one. Have a great, we're recording this the day before Thanksgiving. So have a great Thanksgiving. This will air afterwards. But God bless you guys. So we see you again. Take care of one another.